You should have seen the mayor the last 3 minutes.
We have 3 minutes.
He was all over the place. My phone, my legal pad.
Facebook won't let me tag.
Facebook.
Is anybody having this problem with Facebook? It won't let you tag names. You have to actually exit and tag separate. Anyway, hi Jerry. How's it going?
Tom, how are you?
Jerry
Good to see you,
Davich.
sir.
Kevin.
Wow.
Nice to
Nice
meet
to see you. Thanks for coming to the Bat Cave.
Yeah,
The
it's
Bat
very
Cave.
cool. I had to get clearance to get in.
And thank you for the article this morning. That was
Yeah.
solid.
By the way, you gave away our location in the article. I don't know if you
Don't let
noticed that.
people go look at it.
Yeah.
We don't need psychopaths showing up.
I don't care if the psychopaths.
Yeah, I
show
know
up
you
here.
don't. We do.
Yeah.
But thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Very
Jerry
exciting.
Davich, man, good to see you.
You too, Tom.
When you have Jerry here, like you're not just looking at his picture on the paper. It's like him live, right in front of us.
Unfortunately, you see it way too often.
Well, welcome to Left to Center Pod. I just want to
Thanks.
remind everybody to like and follow the podcast on Facebook. You can search it from Left to Center Podcasts. Many of you are already watching right now. On Twitter, at LOC Pod. On YouTube, Left to Center Podcast. And, of course, the most exciting thing is on Apple Podcast app. You can search Left of Center Show, and please subscribe so you can listen to us whenever and wherever you want.
That's still my favorite way to listen. Because like when I'm listening
On the bike?
Yeah.
Have you done that before?
Yeah, because you could turn your phone off. It's nice. Once you put the Apple Podcast on, you could turn your phone off and it just plays.
On and on.
Whereas if you listen,
I've heard every podcast at like 1 a.m. of you guys.
That is
Right.
impressive.
All
Nice.
6. It's 6, right? You have
impressive.
6 in the
That's
can.
a lot of
Thank
listening to
you.
our voices.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
And then I'll wake
Richard.
up, my phone's dropped off, bed, the Ambien is kicked in or whatever.
We
like
help you
that.
go to sleep. I appreciate that. Yeah.
But not the fight music that starts the show off.
No,
Whoa.
that jacks me up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Good
going-
work, John Vesmar. And by the way, a belated happy birthday to our producer, John
Oh,
Vesmar.
happy birthday, John.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
What was it? Wednesday or Thursday?
Yesterday, Thursday.
Okay. See, I said
Yesterday.
happy birthday a day early, didn't I?
You did.
It's
You were
in my
the first
calendar.
He
one.
likes to cover himself.
Tom was the first one to wish me a happy birthday.
It was in my calendar the wrong way. So it'll be like
that's
this
Eva's.
every year.
So don't feel so good
That's
about
an Eva
yourself,
thing.
John.
Yeah.
No, I just want to be early. So.
Happy birthday to John. Let's do some sponsors and let's get into it, Jerry.
All right.
Sure.
Oh, you want me to start?
Sure.
I have to put my glasses on now.
Put them on.
Thank you to our sponsors, Region News Source. You ever see the Region News Source?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're Paul Goddard. It's like a one-man show.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Featuring Northwest Indiana's region specific breaking news and stories, focusing only on facts regarding our lives in Northwest Indiana. Paul Goddard and his team are proud to declare that they have no political bias or opinions, just facts and truths, straight from reliable and trusted sources. This service is provided to the region for free. I added the
Good
emphasis.
work.
That's because I'm
Nice
that's 6
editorial.
shows of
You're geeking it.
Yeah.
Geek it.
Check out our website at regionnewssource.org or follow us on Facebook at Region News Source.
One of our favorite lawyers, even though we're both lawyers, is attorney Alfredo Estrada at Burke, Costanza, and Carberry. Having locations in Maryville and Chicago, Alfredo is one of the most experienced lawyers in the area of immigration and civil litigation, is also the star of the Hammond Legal Aid Clinic, where now they have DACA and other immigration services. Give Alfredo a call at 219-769-1313. That's 769-1313. Here we go. Adelante con Alfredo.
My bad.
Terrible Spanish.
That is crazy though, because Kevin is very talented with.
French, I'm good. I can't do Spanish.
Who takes
I didn't.
French?
Well, it's the language of diplomacy, Tom.
Yeah, there you go.
You should have said
That
the
explains
French.
everything. Yeah.
That's a nice shirt, by the way, Kevin.
Thank you.
Three
Sheboygan.
sheep brewing.
Got it in
Oh,
Sheboygan.
nice. Look at that.
All right.
Shoops, are they a sponsor?
They sure are.
3 sheep.
No, Shoops is.
I was saying 3 sheep.
No, I didn't. I'd
you're
love to
like-
get a
Take it off.
I'd love to get a brewery
Take
from
it off,
Sheboygan.
throw it
He's
on
going to
the
throw
ground.
your shirt.
That
Yeah,
will
no, I got in a lot of trouble
that
for
will
that.
ruin the show if I take this shirt off.
I agree. So,
Instantaneously.
Shoop's Hamburgers, named one of the best burgers in the world. In Chicagoland. All right. Whatever. It's one of the best burgers in the world, right around the block from my house. Named one of the best burgers in Chicagoland. Shoop's has been a staple of the local fast food scene since 1948. In addition to burgers, they offer a variety of great lunch options as well that won't break the bank. For instance, this is freelancing. Their soups are top quality. That's one of the
Homemade,
things.
right there every day.
I
Shoop
go,
soup?
Yeah.
Shoop soup?
Shoop soup.
Yeah, when Chris Jones used to own that place, he was like, we
Catchy.
make our soups every day.
I'm telling
and I was
you,
like, whoa.
the Shoop soup is
Shoop
worth.
soup.
I get a quart and I'll
well,
go home.
I can't do soup in the summer very much.
Yeah,
I don't either.
It's got to be a little bit.
I agree.
It's
Yeah.
got to be a nip in the air.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So
Right.
get ready for Shoop soup.
Anyway, right off 8094 at the Indianapolis Boulevard exit north. Man, I'm brutalizing this, but I'm freelancing on top of it, so they should be happy.
Well, remember, you're not a good improv.
And my glasses are crooked. Right off of 8094 at the Indianapolis Boulevard North exit. Visit the original Shoop's location at 7235 Indianapolis Boulevard. Check out the menus at shoopshamburgers.com. Also, check out the great new parking lot. Looks wonderful. I added that too.
Finally, somebody did the parking lot. We could do a whole episode on you and your glasses, by the way. Let's think about that.
By the way, this is straight out of the Navy.
We just talked.
Yeah.
We had
Kevin
a
said that
5-minute
earlier.
conversation
Yeah.
about that
Thank
before.
you. This is
Lindsay
I did
knows.
this for years on a submarine, so like it's just natural. I walk in and just,
I know you're one ear.
People have been asking.
That's just a badass thing to say in
Thank
general.
you.
I
I
did
know.
this on a submarine.
I did this on a submarine for years.
No matter what you
For
preface
years.
it with or what comes
That's right.
after, I did it
I
on a
like that.
submarine.
You
I
get
did
like
it on a
free
submarine.
reign if you say that.
I could only
It's
say
true.
it at the Museum of Science and Industry. That's all I got. I did it at the submarine.
Yes, I can't even
That's
say
right.
that.
That's it. I got nothing.
that's a good submarine.
All right, 2 more sponsors. Let's get into it with Jerry. Griziola's Concrete, voted #1 in the region by the Times. Their company is the best concrete and masonry contractor in Whiting, Indiana. Griziola's Concrete.
What the hell?
work-
In Whiting? That's it? That's a freaking town of 4,000 people.
Who wrote that?
Like, we gotta
Gotta
here,
widen
let
that
me-
scope.
Bernie's
Listen,
like,
we'll edit that out.
4 cities in that list.
We'll say the Whiting Greater Area.
there
It's
you go. The Greater
it's
Whiting
best
area.
In Whiting.
Greater
Like,
Whiting.
It's a 1 square
It's
mile
probably my
city.
editing, Lynn. Sorry. Griziola's Concrete Work, a well-known experience.
Hold
Concrete.
on. Can I change it, Kevin?
Yeah.
Our company has the best concrete and masonry contractors in Indiana.
world.
The
Ever.
world.
Ever.
The world.
Since
Well, just
concrete.
like Shoop's is the world. We're just
Yeah.
going with the world.
All right,
today.
let's
right.
just. Okay, you're gonna edit that, right, Vaz? It's the best in the world.
Griziola's Concrete, a well-known experienced concrete and masonry small business, fully licensed, bonded, and covered with insurance, authorized to perform concrete and masonry work all over the world. Call us at 219-659-4127.
That's better.
All right. Bob's Painting and Plastering. Bob's Plastering and Painting provides professional, affordable, and reliable plastering
Around
and
the
painting
world.
services with over 30 years of experience. They're licensed, bonded, and insured, and they are the best in Indiana.
Oh.
I think he's.
I just added that
Yeah,
part.
I think I could
What
tell.
happened to the world?
He paused.
The world, yeah. One of the best companies in America. Call today for a free estimate at 219-616-6609. Check out before and after picture at bobsplasteringandpainting.com. They are the best painting and plastering in Indiana, bar none.
God bless
And
sponsors.
it's just because
Right?
they're sponsoring us.
I
But
know.
it's true.
Yeah,
too.
God
For
bless
$25, we'll do a lot.
Yeah.
$25, we'll lie on air. No
You
problem.
should hire somebody to come in just to read these.
We should.
That's right. Well, that cut
Lindsay-
into our.
Lindsay-
Actually, you should
We don't have a big bank
You should
account
have a
right now,
female
Jerry.
voice come in and do that.
What is
actually.
Lindsay
That's what
doing?
I'm saying.
She's over there.
There she is.
She's monitoring,
That'd be the
making
thing
sure
to do.
people don't call us names.
She's looking at.
Speaking of
looking
which,
at us
when is the
meanly.
first female guest going to be on?
Oh, don't even
Whoa.
see
Yeah.
why he's reading our minds.
No, I'm glad.
We were
Yeah,
just
you were-
talking
you
about
were
that.
That is
inside
that
of
is
our head.
needed. You need a.
You're in our
you need a
heads.
female voice.
You're
here.
in our heads.
It's
All
coming.
right. Okay.
That's
No.
why people love the mailbag. When
By the
Lindsay
way-
steps in, it's like refreshing. for
We did
people.
sort of have one of our female guests back out. She was lined up. I'm not going to say her name.
She didn't
but
necessarily back out. We just haven't got her
It
scheduled
was we
yet.
missed scheduling wise, and then there's another female guest that we're working
okay.
with. That's
We're
a
working
big
on
one.
it.
Oh, good. Good to
Yeah.
hear.
So it's not like we have neglected or
I
being
didn't think you did.
misogynistic. We're
I just thought when Tom
Kevin's
asked me,
misogynistic.
when Tom asked me to
Terribly.
come and drag for this, I thought maybe that was a hint. You
Well,
guys
it
really
would've
need a
killed- it
female
would have
guest.
killed a couple.
Just
Well, let's
a
get into
suggestion.
it. Jerry Davich here at the studio.
Loved Jerry. I've been reading your columns for a long time. I forgot one interesting fact about you is that you worked for a while at the Times.
Yeah, that's how I started.
How long did you work there?
10 years, give or take, a little bit more than 10 years.
I thought I read something political cartoonist to start.
Yeah, that's how I kind of backed into the
Were
whole.
you just like a
I was working.
bad cartoonist?
I was
and
a
I was
very
like,
bad.
I better start
I was
writing.
a bad cartoon.
You would do the cartoon every day?
No, it was once or twice a week.
Really?
I was working in the food business, and I backdoored everything how to get here. But I was working in the food business. I did a lot of drawing when I was in school or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that the local papers could use local cartoons versus the national syndicated kind.
good
so
idea.
Remember when the casinos came to the region? And
94.
Yeah, right. And Buffington Harbor was
Sure.
hosted. Well, I drew a cartoon that welcome to Buffington Harbor. They said go to Buffington Harbor, not go to Gary. Remember that?
Right,
It's
right,
like we're not in Gary.
Right.
We're in
some
Buffington
mythical
Harbor.
place
Right.
called Buffington
Right.
Harbor.
With these great spires.
Yes,
Yeah,
come
right.
gamble here.
Right.
So I did a cartoon. That was my first cartoon. I think
That's
I did.
crazy.
Right.
So and then I thought, well, there's
then
a
you got
local
picked up.
niche. Yeah, well, the Times picked me up initially with cartoons at least once or twice a week, and then the Post Tribune started picking me up the same cartoons. And I didn't realize in the business because I wasn't in the business yet that they're so competitive.
Now that'd be fun to see some of those. That'd be good.
I have
waiting.
those. I should have brought those.
Yeah.
I'm racking
put
my
those
memory.
online.
I think I'm
I
come
have
to think
those.
of it. I think
Yeah,
I
I
remember
did,
seeing them.
I did dozens of them.
Yeah.
I did dozens. So that's how I started.
That's like
and then
an
I was
unknown talent. That we, I mean, I didn't know you were a cartoonist. That's great.
unknown.
gonna-
It's an unknown something.
You never piss off a cartoonist. That's one of my
That's
rules.
right.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm a big admirer of cartoons and what they can do. They put so much together in just a frame.
yeah,
yeah.
and
one
just the history of
caption
them,
and
right?
image.
It's not like this is. I mean, you go back to you always see these like revolutionary time period cartoons about George Washington.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not anything new, right?
Right,
And
right,
it's always
exactly.
been. It's like part of America.
It
political
has,
cartoons.
yeah.
So
You know
it's
what's interesting is, for those of you that aren't aware, the area we live in, Northwest Indiana, has 2 major newspapers, and it's as long as
They
I
are
can
right on
remember.
Yeah.
right here.
I am not
Times and
throwing
the Post.
anything.
Don't
Even
throw
though they get
anything.
thrown every morning.
No, don't touch these. These are out of
My
your.
newspaper was in
right.
the rose bush, obviously thrown this morning. Like I had to pull it out of my rose
We'll give them
bush.
Chicago.
But hey, I'm
Wow.
not
You
gonna,
could pitch that.
The big boys here.
yeah, the Chicago
You were
Tribune.
going to say that?
I've noticed that a lot of, there's a lot of back and forth between, columnists, between reporters, between editors. Seems like they'll start at the Times and go to the Post.
Oh, back
or they'll
and forth
start-
with the jobs go back and forth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
right.
A lot of people, like for instance, Bill Dolan. I know he worked at both, right? And he's
Yes.
a really good reporter at the Times now. But he
Right.
was out for the whole first.
Same
part.
with my direct editor, Joe Puchek.
Yeah,
That's
Joe
right.
Buchek.
He worked at both also. And for me, when I went from the Times to the Post in 2006, initially I thought I was like having an affair on my wife. It felt like I was really cheating.
Right.
And even the editor for the Post Tribune, her name was Michelle Holmes back in the day. She invited me out to some kind of clandestine lunch and kind of quiet.
Yeah.
Meet at this shady place. Let's talk about a job. Let's talk about it serious.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a job offer. We won't tell anybody.
Right.
Then they officially pitched it. I went back to the Times and suggested it, and that's when I made the switch. But I felt like, oh my God,
That's crazy.
very naughty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That was
awesome.
out, yeah.
That's awesome. So
Well,
you grew up in the region, right?
Gary. Yeah, born and
Nice.
raised in Gary.
Awesome. What school?
Wirt, you mean high school?
Yeah. Yeah.
Marquette Elementary.
Yeah,
time.
there you
No,
go.
it was
Wirt.
Wirt High
Nice.
School. Yeah.
Word High School. There you go. Well, Jerry, let me ask you.
Yeah.
The Post Tribune is now owned by the Chicago Tribune.
Yeah.
I like it because I can get my Tom Skilling weather now on the
Oh
back
yeah, that's
page.
the important thing.
That's the
Go right
important
to the
stuff.
back.
That's right.
Let's go right to the back.
When did they?
You're-
It was this year that they went. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask him, do your articles get picked up by the Chicago paper print-wise? Do they ever get in the Chicago paper?
Sometimes they get in Chicago Tribune, and then sometimes they get in Chicago Tribune suburban dailies. There are several dailies that the Tribune owns when they picked up the Post Tribune back in I think 2015, and some of my work goes into them.
So you
papers
get
as
like
well.
fans all over the Chicagoland area. I mean, you
I
get
don't know
like
about fans, but I get occasional readers. I get occasional readers
People emailing you like,
all over Whiting.
yeah, right.
The greater
Whiting
Whiting, yeah,
area.
sorry, the
You
greater
are very
Whiting.
strong in Whiting. I've heard that. Very popular in Whiting.
Exactly, yeah.
So
Awesome.
But yes, I have. And to get back to your initial question, yeah, the whole political cartooning thing led to me just being in a newsroom one day. It was the Vidette Messenger
Yeah.
building of the Times. And when I was there handing a cartoon in for the week, one of the editors asked if I wanted to simply try to cover a story because they couldn't find anybody.
awesome.
And that's how I started in
That's
this business.
unbelievable.
Good for you.
Before we get into the meat of it, I saw something on your bio that said something I just wanted to ask you. It says you like to give voice to the voiceless, and you like to shine a light on society's darkest corners in your articles.
That's pretty bullshit cliche.
well, I was
stuff,
wondering.
isn't
It's
It's
very
pretty
cliche.
cool that Kevin's researching you like that, though. Isn't that cool?
it? He did a quick Google search
was
at,
looking at-
at 7:27.
Well, it was like,
I looked
it was
at
like
your bio.
7:05. But
7:05.
I mean, is that? I mean, I was just curious. Like when you think about your stories,
Yeah.
is that something? Explain to me what you think. Like I want to. Even your story this week about. I think it was about family histories.
Yes,
I mean,
right.
that's not getting reported anywhere. So how do you get?
No,
how
of
do
course
you-
not. That's
how
my
do you
niche.
get- right.
Stuff nobody cares about. You got to delve into
It's
shit
like
nobody
reading.
cares about.
It's like
and that's
reading. I like it.
It is
Yeah.
good.
Well, I try to mix it up. That's
It's-
for sure.
But like, you don't really read a Jerry Davich column and then come away just like throwing a newspaper across the room like I do with other.
Oh, I
columnists.
think people do.
Really?
Oh, you kidding?
don't.
I think I piss people
love
off
your
a lot.
columns. I think your columns
Well,
are very like
maybe because you're more politically leaning, like similar to me. It's like moderate, liberal, whatever it might
Thank
be.
you.
Yeah, and I think
Center
because of
left-
that,
left
you
of
don't
center.
maybe left of center a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, so maybe you don't throw things as much.
Right.
But people who disagree with me, they get so mad. But they are my most loyal readers. I've noticed that these people who hate me will not miss something that I
Oh,
write.
been
no.
to
They're
That's
so-
just like with Mayor. I mean, people who hate you, they won't miss a word.
Oh
No,
yeah.
yeah, they don't miss a word. They'll
Oh,
catch
yeah.
everything, and they're just on. I'm on their radar, and it's so that's the kind of people I'm talking about.
I
They
can
will
tell
throw
you,
my stuff.
I talk to people at the other newspaper a lot. Okay, and I don't really get to talk to the Post as much because it's more like I'll talk to yourself at the Post, or I'll talk to a reporter like Michelle Quinn. I talk to a lot.
Right.
Alexandra Kokula.
Right,
I talk to her a lot. She's
right.
great, but I don't really like. It seems like when I'm talking to the other paper, I'll talk to the editors more than the reporters. Whereas if I'm talking to the Post, I talk
That's
to the
interesting.
reporters more than the editor.
I never thought of
I couldn't
that.
even really tell you who to talk to.
Yeah, right.
In the editor rank. But like one thing I notice is there's a real tension. I think from the Times perspective towards the Post. I'm not sure if I feel the same kind of tension from the Post towards the
Tension
Times.
in what?
Like
Tension in what way?
competitiveness.
Or
like,
do you feel that, or do you
Well, I
sense
used
it
to.
out there?
I used to feel it because when I first started this, I was very competitive. Not like a scoop, because my scoop is like in family history. I have no scoops.
What a
You know,
scoop
I
that
know.
was.
I have no.
scoop.
I mean, I'm writing this week. I'm writing about sex trafficking in the region. I'm writing
Nice.
about child
Serious
prostitution. I'm writing about grieving in a pandemic. I mean, these are niche things that nobody's
And
going to
this
scoop me.
morning's column is about a radio show that you're on.
Happens
I
to
guess.
be about a podcast.
Yeah.
About
I found the show very interesting. That's why I wanted to write about it. It was,
Appreciate
but mostly it was your candor and your cussing, and that stood out to me. I really appreciate.
I haven't cussed yet, by the way.
Jerry's got both, I think, so that's good.
Yeah, I appreciate honesty and candor, real talk. I love hearing that because
I don't know
I've
how-
talked to so many politicians, and they're so polished. They're so polished that you could fall asleep listening to them.
Kevin's tried to polish me so many times.
It doesn't work.
it
I'm
doesn't
done.
work,
He's-
yeah.
it's
I don't
a
know.
dull- It's
I
a
don't
dull
know any
sheen
way.
at this point.
I don't know any other way to do it.
No, I think that's
really-
just being honest. I think one of the things when after the election we had a conversation. Mayor Tom was like, "Look, we got to do something different. We got to mix it up. I'm feeling too restrained, and this is really, I think, in a way, therapeutic for him.
Oh,
It's
you're
good
talking about
therapy.
the show.
This
yeah.
is therapy.
It's good therapy
Twice
for,
a week.
for him. And,
Well,
and he
yeah.
was like, "We got it. This is a great idea. Let's do a podcast."
After we lost, we had a little get together. It was out of town, and I know Vez was there. We had a few people get together, and it was like a couple day therapy session.
Yeah, it
that
was
was
good.
that
I'll
was,
bet it was.
right after the loss. That was like
Yeah, you must have been
Thursday, Friday.
profoundly hit in
I was embarrassed.
the gut.
I was
You're
embarrassed.
embarrassed. Is that the best
Big
way to
time.
say it?
And like I felt like I was sad, not because of me. I was sad because I knew there was a lot of people that busted their ass for me.
Yeah.
And I felt like I let them down.
Yeah,
Like that was an overwhelming sense that like, oh my goodness, like this person's gonna lose a job possibly.
Yeah,
This
right.
person like risked their career for me. Like, and then I was like calling people up after, and I was like apologizing to them. It was weird.
Dude, sorry.
I know.
Yeah,
Like,
I
let you
remember I
down.
tried reaching out to you for a column that I wrote.
Oh, yeah.
like a post autopsy of the thing, and you were like checked out.
Well, you
which
know
is
what,
unusual
Jerry?
for
I mean,
you.
you know, like, and
Unusual
I
for
love,
you.
like, I'd never turned down a report.
I know that was my point.
That was
yeah.
the first time probably ever.
Yeah?
That I,
Oh, yeah,
but like
yeah, right.
I felt like after first off, I didn't have much good to say.
Yeah,
and
I
I didn't
know
want
you
to come off. I was like this
Yeah.
guy was because Frank's a nice person. He beat me, okay, and I didn't want to come off as like a sore loser.
Right.
Like because I knew from the moment he filed that he was a serious candidate.
Of course,
he was my
of
main
course.
candidate. I knew that. So like, I'm not gonna like after I lose say, oh, he sucks. I wasn't gonna do that.
But I always wonder from a public office holder's point of view, or any point of view, is that when you say he declines comment, I always wonder what that shows, what that
I agree.
sounds to readers. I never know because I've never said it.
No.
I mean, I'd love
I
to
hate
say
it.
I'd love to say no comment all the time in life.
It doesn't happen.
I
very
have no
often from
comment
the
on
mayor.
that.
Jerry, you got that column ready? No comment.
I have no comment on that. I've never said that before, so I always wonder from your point of view.
I've only said it a couple
of
times.
how it looks. Because
I think it looks bad,
looks
especially
bad?
if it's an article that's concerning to the public and they're really like. I think in the days after losing an election, if I have no comment, I think it's sort of like, hey, listen, let me deal with my own
and
head
I think
before I
that
start
came
comment.
across
Right,
in the column.
right.
Yeah, I think it was pretty appropriate at the time. And after we had that first kind of emotional, discussion through the election, then it was like, okay, let's get down to figuring out what really happened, and then we started talking about the podcast.
Yeah.
And so
I was
the
going to ask
day-
you that.
I'm sorry, the day that I lost. So Kevin and I we always have this theory about the early vote. Okay, and I'm this theory holds, by the way. For those of you who want to know, like a real good early glimpse of who's going to win or lose, you'll know at like 6:02. Okay, right after the polls close, right, Kevin?
unless it's real tight. Yep.
Like, because what happens? Did you early vote in the last election, Jerry?
Yeah.
So your vote is counted at like 6:02 because they know basically they just tally the numbers right after, right? And that's like a poll because like everybody across the region voted early. All the people that voted early, that's really like an accurate poll.
Okay.
So when that number is released and it's like blended across the entire region, that's an accurate number. And that first number came out, it was down 2,500 votes.
Yeah, and so
Kevin-
That's
that
when
was like
that was the first punch.
6:02.
That was
it
the
was
first
like
punch.
Kevin called and he's like, okay, early votes out. I'm like, all right, what do you got? And he's like, okay, Frank's up on you, 2,500 votes.
that was really like a punch to the gut. You want to because we know, you're like,
Yeah.
okay, how are we?
We
gonna,
know how bad that is.
Yeah.
And we're
Yeah.
thinking like, are we going to make it up in Porter County? That's a lot. Believe it or not, that's a lot of votes to make up in a 100,000 vote election. It just
no,
is.
that doesn't sound surprising at
it's
all,
not
yeah.
easy to make up.
It was, well, as it turns out, 4%, 3%.
Yeah.
But like when Kevin told me that and I'm sitting there, I got like 300 people looking
Everyone's
at me.
excited.
Everybody knows I'm talking to Kevin. And then I like turned around and I walked to the other side of the pad, and I was just like, and then basically the rest of that night I was staying away from people because I was super stressed.
Well, so how much is real Tom versus this fictional politician Tom that has to go out there and rally the troops and go, yeah, we're doing good? And
there's no rallying though on that night. No,
does your face give it away? Do you have poker tells? I mean, can we just say that you are profoundly crushed? Was it visible on his face?
Yeah, I think it was. Lindsay, you were there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how bad was it?
You have an air around you.
Yeah.
People could feel it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That the vibe came off.
Well, like I was in, like where we have the festival acts, we keep them in the blue room. I was back there with my family, and everybody in that room knew it was bad.
I see.
Right, and then like what would happen is I would walk outside and take a phone call because it was loud, and then people would see me, and then people would just sort of
don't talk to Tom.
Yeah, it's like, oh.
It was a sad day. It was bad.
It's all right, man.
We're
fine.
back, and he's
Look
back.
We got a great podcast. I do love this podcast, and I love the fact that we're getting great guests like Jerry, and it's like it's very liberating.
I love the fact that people are interested in it. We've gotten so many great comments. I mean, just like even people reaching out. I want to be a guest. I want to be a sponsor.
That's interesting.
It's great.
I like how you keep things on tap, Kevin. Because Tom can start just wandering off like a cannon in a circle.
Come on back, Tom.
Come on back.
Come on back.
We got to stay on course here.
Okay,
I've noticed that.
Let's stay on course.
I've noticed that in your previous podcast.
We got some
Thank you,
really
Jerry.
interesting. We got a lot of interesting stuff going on in the region. And I sort of wanted. Do you have one column that sticks out? Like, what your favorite story that you've covered? Like the one that got you the most accolades?
Oh, the one that got me the most hits, like on the internet, is I think Yahoo News picked it up. And it's embarrassing. I had a colonoscopy, and as a joke, as a jokey thing, I wrote about it from beginning to end, from the cleansing process.
Did you think this is going to make it big? This is going to be my biggest. This is my biggest article.
Ouch! I hurt.
No, the point is, I did not think it was just like you just write things as you experience it, and you want to people I do to identify. Like, I have that, and I understand the fact. But next thing you know, it got picked up by this and that and this, and I'm hearing people from all over the country.
Isn't that interesting?
That's my next podcast. Actually, Tom gets a colonoscopy.
Yeah,
I just found
awesome.
We were just talking about we need to schedule
with the visuals.
Let's do it, Kevin.
With the visuals.
We'll do it. Kevin and I'll do a joint one.
That'll be great.
We'll hold hands.
Looking at each other's eyes on the cots. That'll be perfect.
The second most column, the most
that.
hits I got was there was a complaint in Cherville of a neighbor who had mental illness. They wasn't sure, and other neighbors were afraid of this lady. And I wrote about it back in, I think, 2014, and I'm still hearing from readers across the country on that. If you pull up, I think the search term on it was mentally ill neighbors. And that's if somebody Googles that.
Come on, John.
My column usually pops up somewhere because I hear from readers to this day from all over the country saying, how did it turn out with that neighbor in Cherville, Indiana?
How did it turn out?
She's still there, and the neighbor who complained to me said he's moving. He just told me this a couple months ago. He's finally had enough. He's still scared.
What do you notice because you obviously were a writer pre-internet, post-internet, and social media.
That's how old I am.
Right. I mean, all of us, right?
We're like the same age, I think. Yeah.
58.
Oh, really?
For the record,
you look great, dude.
I'm 58.
You're a marathoner. I'm 51.
A marathoner.
You are, right?
Yeah, I am. But
I saw your car
but
out
your
there.
laugh was funny then.
It wasn't a laugh. I know you're a
The
marathoner.
chuckle was the funny part.
That was no chuckle.
So give me
that's Karen's car.
Give
That's
me your
why
difference.
Oh, it's Karen's car.
Give me the difference. Like, what do you notice as
Kevin's
a
trying to keep
reporter?
us back on track.
I'm pulling you guys back in.
Thank you, Kevin. Well,
Thank
it
you.
used to be where I, as a writer, I would write for print first, and then internet was an afterthought. And I'd put it. The most important thing was that paper would flop down on your porch the next morning.
Watch it.
And
They
I
get pissed
know,
off.
yeah,
Don't throw it. That wasn't a
Here.
throw.
That wasn't a throw. That was a drop.
That was a drop.
It's all good. It's all good.
Just for the record.
These are
Tom didn't
safely
do
on the
it.
table.
Yeah, right.
That caused a war.
So I would structure my writing around that, and I had plenty of time to maybe fix something, go back into it later on, talk to an editor about it that night, changes, anything I want, because I had all night until the deadline was like 11 o'clock. This is back in the Times days. Now it's like immediate. Like I will write it, and these days I'll write from home or wherever I'm at, and then it goes to an editor locally, and then it goes to the Chicago Tribune, and then the next thing it's online within a few minutes.
Really?
A few
Minutes?
Well,
So the
have to.
editors do that quick of a review?
Yeah.
Wow.
You have to. Think about it. You got people
No,
like
you
Paul,
have to.
you
That's
have
right.
like Paul Goddard out there with his,
Yes.
doing stuff on Facebook.
Yeah, like right now.
So-
I
lot of-
know that drives the other newspaper insane. Paul Goddard, he drives the other newspaper insane because they want to be the first.
That's a good thing. That's a good to have that. It's a competition breeds excellence.
I
think
agree
Al
with you.
Davis from the Raiders.
There
said
you go.
very true.
Competition
That's true.
breeds excellence. That's a good, great.
At
really
least
good
it
quote.
breeds urgency. Let's
sure.
go with that. Maybe not.
So now it's
excellence.
a kind of a race to get it up.
Yeah,
Would
well,
you-
it's always a race, not a race. You're thinking a competitive race like with the Times, and I don't feel that much at all.
No, I'm
you
thinking
think-
a race like
do you think
you got to
the
get the
Times
news
feels that?
out.
Do Do you think the other newspaper feels that?
Well, I think everybody except me feels that.
Right.
To be honest, I'm not a journalist by nature. As you know, I did not go to school for it. I don't have that degree.
I think that's why you're good at it.
I don't have that hustle
You think like
for
a
it.
normal person. Like
I think I very much do. Yeah.
Right.
So I don't have that.
You're not normal, but you think
right.
very much like a
I have a
normal person.
competitive nature, but not like in the realm of newspaper world where you have to have the Times versus the Post, and you look at it and you match it up and who got the scoop and who's going to get this. I mean, if I usually never get a scoop, so my scoop is usually to try to scrape deeper into something.
Do you ever
go into
like when you're
sociological
doing a column,
aspects.
you're like, oh my god, this one's gonna get huge play, like,
And then it doesn't. Yeah,
Really?
I do
Isn't
have
that funny?
some in my head. I'll go, hey, I like this, and I think it has
This is gonna be
possibilities.
huge, right?
And then nothing.
I know.
Just
I do that
crickets.
with my social media posts sometimes. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna
And
drop this thing.
in
It's
the
gonna
old
go viral.
in the old
And then
days, you didn't know
crickets.
because all we knew was the circulation for print versions, like Kevin asked. That's all we knew back in the day. Now everything's tabulated,
Clicks.
counted, hit,
Really?
engagement. Like I get a weekly spreadsheet sent to me of all my
Interesting.
columns and
That is awesome.
how many hits, how many engagements, how long
Like
people raised
colonoscopy,
it.
right up,
Right at the
straight
top,
up,
yeah.
like
Dude,
boom.
This radio show one you did today is gonna be huge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
it's gonna be. It's like
gonna be
colonoscopy. It's
Yeah,
radio.
right.
podcast.
Right.
What happened?
Right.
I went on a podcast. How about before we get into like some meat? I know Mayor wants to talk about.
I want to talk about cases because Jerry
Absolutely.
knows that we could talk to Jerry about like the rich region history of like the different cases, and some of them going on right now. Some of them that
You're
we've
talking
talked
political
about.
cases?
Yeah,
Oh,
let's do some sponsors real quick. Come back and we'll
Sure.
do that. Let's do our
Look at
final
Kevin keeping us
sponsors.
on
And
track.
Yeah,
we're trying here.
Okay, Tom starts. Oh, never
Yes,
mind.
that's for you.
The Emerald Green Restaurant. The Emerald Green is a fine dining experience located at beautiful Lost Marsh Golf Course just off the Indiana Toll Road. Come sit on the scenic patio overlooking the first tee with a breathtaking view of Chicago, or dine at the beautiful Frank Lloyd Wright-inspired clubhouse and bar. Open year-round. We have a banquet hall for all your catering needs. Please come and enjoy our family-friendly environment and the best Italian food in the Chicagoland area and more. Visit our website for more at emeraldgreen@lostmarsh.com.
This is an exciting sponsor, new sponsor. We have a podcast that reached out to us to be a sponsor of our podcast.
Really?
Yes. It's called The Mental Edge. I should put the emphasis on mental edge. Lindsay told me. It's run by a guy named Jay Wakazi. He's actually United Steelworkers Local 1011 safety chairman. And the Mental Edge podcast discusses life in the union, life in the region, and life in general. They pledge to discuss all the things they love about being men, with an including colonoscopies, I'm sure, with an infectious transparency that's laced with just the right amount of humor. Find them on Apple Podcast app under the title The Mental Edge Podcast.
I'm going to have another podcast I listen to besides ours.
Very clever.
Subscribe. Yeah,
Yeah.
good guys, and it's actually a real interesting podcast. Check it out.
Jeremy Rivas for 2nd District County Council. Jeremy is a Porter County councilman, great guy, been a long-time councilman. His wife, also Nina, is the Portage Clerk Treasurer, doing a great job out there. We want to thank Jeremy for sponsoring our show. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Councilman. Another new sponsor, Kyle Dempsey State Farm Agency. Are you in the market for insurance? Do you want to find an agent you trust? The Kyle Dempsey State Farm Agency is just that. They have offices located close to home in both Hammond and Cherryville. Check out their new low auto insurance rates that are worth checking out. They also have help with home, renters, business, and even life insurance. Call Kyle Dempsey at his office, 219-845-1571. That's 219-845-1571. Thanks, Kyle, for the sponsorship.
So I read Jerry's columns all the time, and he did a column about a week ago, shortly after the news came out in Whiting about Mayor Joe Stahura was going to be resigning.
Yeah, right.
And struck a plea deal with the federal prosecutors.
Right.
And Jerry came out with a column that said, basically, if you can't get behind a guy like Mayor Joe, who can you trust in politics nowadays? I thought it was real interesting, and I know that a lot of people felt that way about
It's a
Mayor
thought-provoking
Stahura.
question.
I was
Right.
genuinely surprised. I mean, maybe shocked. I don't say shock, because shock's a big word people use, and especially in media, and I'm not shocked very often, to be honest, but I was really surprised. And I'm wondering, were you guys
Absolutely.
as surprised as me? Because
Yeah.
you guys are more inside.
I heard rumor over the summer.
Yeah, you hear rumors.
Yeah, but you
you're-
always hear rumors,
Absolutely.
don't you?
Yeah, but like, you don't hear rumors about Mayor Joe very much. And I heard
Oh, I
it
see
from
what you're
somebody that actually like really knows what he's talking about. And he told me, and I was like, "What?" I was
Right.
stunned. This was months ago.
I would say it did actually get to the shocked
did it?
area to me.
Okay.
Yeah, because it just
Yeah, but when you heard
unexpected.
when you heard a rumor about the mayor, did that lessen things when it actually
Yeah,
came out?
sure.
So you saw it?
Sure.
It did.
Did
Okay.
you believe the rumor when you heard it?
I think I was along with you, Mayor, where you don't hear it very often. You wouldn't hear rumors about Mayor Joe
Right.
and anything like that.
Right.
So maybe I gave a little more credence to it than I would
I see.
someone that you're like, oh, they're going down.
Without
they're
a
going
doubt,
down.
without
Part of the reason, though, the rumor that we heard was it had to do with the Mascot Hall of Fame. That's the rumor. Excuse me, and that was the rumor I heard, and it didn't turn out to be true in that regard. But the fact that he was under investigation was true.
Yeah.
Well, it's new news that it happened, but it's so old news in the region, and
Yeah,
it's just
sad.
it's just a shame and sad. Yeah, it is, regardless of what.
I just,
and then you see the money figures, like a quarter of
Yeah.
$250,000
Well,
for
Over 5
different-
years.
there's like a common theme. It seems like with a couple of our, a couple mayors that
Gambling?
have gone down, gambling.
Gambling. Yeah, it was same with Keith Soderquist
Yeah.
at Lake
Soderquist,
Station.
yeah.
That was a weird situation. I knew Keith and his wife. I was chairman of the party when that happened, and that one didn't surprise me as much. I thought, when I was chairman of the party and Mayor Soderquist was mayor, I thought it was weird how involved in everything his wife was. I mean, she was like
In his office.
In his office, she was like answering the phone. She was like the chief of staff.
Didn't that come across as a very positive thing at the time?
Well, I heard that it didn't, because I saw that, and I don't mind that. Like if Marissa, obviously Marissa can't, but if she's like, hey, I want to help you in your office, and
Right.
I'm not going to get paid, I'd be like, hey, that's wonderful to
Yeah.
taxpayers. But where I heard it on good authority that she also had a construction company that was doing business with the city, and I was like, what? Like if that's true,
I see.
that's clearly.
You're
against
just
the law.
asking. I think you're just asking for people to look at that with
Well,
a
that's
kind
for
of a, what's this all about, right? Like, why wouldn't you want to look into that if you're an investigator, right? If
At
you
the
hear
broader
that.
aspect, though, I'm wondering where the chicken and the egg is between this gambling addiction, if that is what it is, versus the political entitlement that people have and using
Right.
have both. Where does it cross? I don't know Mayor Joe very well at all, so I'm not
This is a
sure
great
what
question.
happened with him. But did he have like with Keith? Did they both have this gambling addiction, and then they just happen to have the means by which to support it?
This is
Or
Kevin-
is it vice versa, where they're political entitled? You have something I want to ask you later. Is that
Good.
this whole Mayor Tom thing, and a bunch of people just kind of sycophants up to you all the time. Whoa, Mayor Tom, I
Or
love
hate,
you.
or hate.
Love you. I guess, but
It's both.
I guess it's
Or
both.
hate.
But it's like
Yeah.
that, and then you have that ego and you have that arrogance that you could have that comes with that. Next thing you know, that is the springboard into your gambling addiction. I don't know
That's
which came
interesting.
first.
Well, I was talking to Kevin about this the other day in regards to, I think it applies to Mayor Joe and to Mayor Keith both, is, first off, Mayor Joe as Mayor Whiting, let's say he makes 80 grand. I think it's probably pretty close. And then Mayor Keith as Mayor Lake Station is probably making close to the same, right?
Sure.
And I don't believe either spouse was making money. So I'm saying, so you look at household income in both cases is about, let's say it's 100 grand ish,
Okay.
maybe less.
Okay.
Okay. And then they have campaign accounts for, obviously they have gambling issues, and they have a campaign account that
Just
they
sitting
are
there.
with a couple $100 grand
Yeah,
in it.
just sitting there,
Right.
tapping on their shoulder
That's
initially.
right. Like,
Yeah.
hey,
I'm right here.
You can
And-
borrow $5 from me and pay me back next week.
Yeah, no,
right?
nobody
Nobody's
will
ever
know.
going to know,
Yeah.
right?
And in
That
most
kind of-
cases, this is more money than these folks have ever really had control over. right?
Kevin,
And-
that's interesting. Because we talked about this when it came to Mayor Pabay. We're talking about a lot of in trouble elected officials. But with Mayor Pabay, his whole approach in City Hall when he was mayor was, this is as good as it's ever going to get for me.
Oh, I'll bet.
So I'm going to reap
I'll bet.
the rewards while I'm here. I'm like,
That's a region mentality, though, isn't it?
I
For
don't-
this
some,
region.
for some, sure.
Yeah, I meant for
Yeah.
some. Yeah, right.
I like, honestly, like where I am right now, I don't consider it the pinnacle of my career. I hope it's not the pinnacle. No offense to be the mayor. I love this job and it's wonderful. The taxpayers trust me, but I don't think it's any secret that I've always been looking to move higher on the political spectrum.
Right.
Right. So like, I think in my case, I want to do as good a job as I can and be a good boy and not get in trouble, obviously, so that I
Then
have
why
a
are you doing this
possibility.
podcast? Then? You're
All right, let's play
You're
episode
killing-
Yeah,
2.
right.
Yeah.
You're
One
going
and
to
two
minute
is a bad
13.
start. Yeah. I only have like one cuss word since episode 2, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
why have you dropped? Because when I listened to the
No,
first
I'll tell you why. My favorite part of this is
Somebody
when
complained?
Tom said, you know what? I walked into the house,
Mm-hmm.
and Marissa and my mother-in-law both had their heads down.
Yeah. Well,
what are you doing?
yeah, because I don't cuss a lot at home. I do cuss though. Like I swear, I'm a Navy 6-year veteran, right?
Yeah.
And then the one that also got me was Kevin's mom. And I'm not saying I'm not cussing, by the way, but I'm just letting it be more natural. I think the first couple shows we were trying to be.
We were all
this is-
excited.
It's very
This is a
podcasty.
podcast,
Yeah,
right?
very
we're
podcasty
gonna
cussing.
And I do listen.
I can
to a
do
lot
it,
of-
so I'm going to do
See
it.
how
That's
cool
right.
it
That's right.
seemed again when you said in the Navy.
Yeah.
It just is cool, right?
It's a
You're just like,
submarine
yeah.
reference again.
Right?
Yeah.
know.
I wish I could
busted
use
it out,
that.
dude. I did 6 years underwater. Let me bust it out. every
I
once in a while.
like it. I'm not complaining. It just, I think Jerry's right.
We got a question from the audience real quick. Is Hammond canceling trick or treating?
One of the mayor's favorite
not really on topic, but I'm going to answer this.
Because it's a good answer.
Hammond kids are tough as hell, Jerry. Right?
Even in a pandemic.
They will trick or treat in a pandemic. They'll trick or treat when it's snowing.
Well, they're already masked up. So
I was
going
gonna
to
say,
that's what I'm talking about.
Mask, potato.
It's up to you as a homeowner. If you want kids coming to your door, keep your light on. If you don't want them, shut your light off. Right?
Simple
Hell
as that.
yeah, we're trick or treating.
Wear a mask. Make sure the kids are.
This is another
comfortable.
one. Mayor, when are we going to trick or treat this year? And I'm like, are you kidding?
It's important stuff.
I didn't realize that Mayor had the ability to change trick or treat.
You can change trick or treat.
Just
I'm going
ask
to
Mayor
change
Dave.
Christmas. I'm going to change. We're doing Christmas on the 24th this year.
Damn it.
In Hammond only, we're trick or treating on the 31st. Guess what? If it snows, the kids are screwed because it snowed on trick or treat. You still
It
got to
has,
get out
by
and
the
do
way.
it. It will. We're not changing it.
That leads to a question about being a mayor. Isn't it a pain in the ass to be a mayor?
Yeah.
I mean, just in general, sometimes I wonder of any mayor of any city, especially the most populous city and a large city, whatever it may be. But it's just seems, why would you want to be a mayor? I
ask myself that
I'm surprised
sometimes.
that somebody wants to be a school board member on a small dot on a map in a town, let alone a mayor of a major city. I don't get it. Why? I mean, is it just ego driven? I mean, you want to serve the public, quote unquote, and that's
No, I do want to
laudable.
serve the public. I love serving the
there's
public.
more than just serving the public.
There's a part of a niche that's filled in my DNA that when I see a project that we complete and it's a good project.
I see.
And I always say this. I use this example. When I first took over as mayor, there was an empty school that just got shut down, and this neighborhood around it was extremely worried that it was just going to lay there decrepit and wasting away. And within 2 years of me taking over, I bought the school, demolished the school, and built a world-class Little League facility there. Well,
Where you had the World Series.
We had a World Series there.
I see.
And it's that's pretty cool.
I see.
You
That
know,
is
being
pretty
mayor,
cool.
and that's why if I were elected Congress, I don't know if I would have had the same job satisfaction going to D.C. that I have being mayor.
No.
Believe me, I would have rather won. I'm not trying to.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if I would have been happy. And I think my race for Congress was definitely ego-driven.
Yeah.
Definitely. There was a niche in me that had to run for that spot. Not because it was a good fit for me. I had to run for it because it was open.
It was the spot.
It was higher up on the food chain. And
Yeah.
if I would have stepped back and let Frank and everybody else run and I wasn't part of it,
it would have killed you.
it would have killed me.
Well, one of the things
sure.
I think
Slowly, as opposed to the gut punch. It would have slowly killed you.
It would have. I would have the rest of my life wondered if
Yeah.
I would have won.
Right.
as a there's no way you couldn't have, but
I had to.
Yeah, I think as a resident though,
But-
or just like being a Hammond resident, right? I think people like the fact that the mayor is. I've heard him say this a million times at meetings. I love this. I love to build stuff. I like
Yeah.
to see projects get done. And as a resident, I mean, all you got to do is look at his book of progress, right, from 2004 to now. I mean, Hammond's a different place. I think it's a better
2004.
place.
That's a long time.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost as long as you've been in the Post Tribune.
Now do you feel like that is a long time?
That is a long time. You're right.
So anyway, so this Tahura thing.
It's just disappointing. I don't know how else to frame it. I mean, just from a resident point of view, a region resident who's been
Yeah.
there all my life, it was just disappointing.
For sure.
Not the details about it, not even judgment against
Right.
Joe,
No,
nothing like
for
that.
sure.
I don't even care whether the chicken and the egg, the gambling addiction or not, or entitlement. It's just disappointing. And it's disappointing for region residents, and it's another black eye, as the U.S. attorney, I think, said. So that's so true.
One of the interesting things about this, I'm going to do a plug to a lawyer that I think is one of the stars that is starting to shine right now is who Joe Tahura picked as his criminal defense lawyer, Carrie Connor, right? Now, she also has, she's representing John Bunchich's appeal.
Post-conviction.
That's right. Now, if John Bunchich hires Carrie Connor from the get-go, his ultimate sentence, he would have been found guilty, I imagine. His ultimate sentence, I bet you, would have been
Lesser?
half.
Oh, really?
Well,
She is
I
so
love
good.
There's a little history here. The mayor and Sheriff Bunchich's original attorney used to get into it
We're not going to mention his name.
on Facebook.
On
Oh, really?
Facebook.
Back and forth, back
During
and forth. Crazy.
This is Bunchich's criminal trial. And Bunchich and I weren't friends, okay? But his lawyer would go on my Facebook page and argue facts of the case on my Facebook page
After our
during
radio
the
show.
trial.
I see.
Like the radio show would go on, they'd go back and forth on Facebook after, and this goes to something we brought up kind of pre-show, right? Like, why are people so obsessed
Yes.
with politics in Northwest Indiana the region? I mean, obsessed
It's a
with it.
fanaticism.
Yeah,
It is a fanaticism.
It's like high school football.
of region
Like,
politics, and
you
I
know-
don't quite grasp. I think I get bashed for that a lot, especially when I'm in Hammond, and I did some JOB shows before in the past, and people would bash me because I'm not politically savvy enough. And more, it's I'm just politically apathetic. That's the difference. I know I'm not very savvy, but it's like I just don't give a damn about
Right.
a lot of the small.
But
things
so many
about it.
people, they'll move out of Hammond. they
They
live
still
in
care.
St. John.
Yeah.
They care
Lowell.
crazy. I mean, look at
Yeah.
Eric Creek. Munster
Yeah.
resident,
Right.
obsessed
Obsessed.
with region politics
By
to the
the
point
way-
where now he's in federal prison for
Yeah.
30 plus years.
30 plus
I
years.
mean,
The guy had
obsessed.
a big house, a great job, a beautiful family, and he had an obsession with.
He couldn't let it go.
He lost a countywide race and started mailing out bombs. I mean,
Yeah.
I lost a bigger race than that, and I'm not mailing out
I
bombs.
hope not.
He's got a podcast
I'm
instead.
checking every package I
that's
get
right.
from. If
That's
I have a
right.
package coming to my house,
Yeah, from McDermott.
Yeah, I'm not going to put my own name on there. Are you crazy?
That's true.
But anyway, going back to Carrie Connor, if she is John Bunchich's lawyer from the get-go, I still think Bunchich is found guilty, but instead of getting a 16 or a 17-year sentence, he gets like a 8.
I don't know. I mean, Judge Moody's tough.
But still, like what she did already. So Bunchich brings her in after all the damage is done, and she wipes out 2 of the convictions against
To the
him,
convictions,
like right
he's
off the bat.
resentenced though, and I think that actually, to me, the headline of that article in both papers made it sound like, Bunchich got a great deal. He still doesn't have a real good deal.
Bunchich has a horrible deal.
I mean, he's not going to do well in prison
Kevin,
for that
like,
time.
I've been sort of watching a lot of the politicians and the sentences they get, and I think the worst one I've seen, and it's not in the Northern District of Indiana, was the Blagojevich,
Blagojevich,
for
yeah.
sure.
Oh, right.
Oh my goodness, like that was over the top. Like
It definitely was to send a message.
What,
I mean,
18
14 or 18. I
And
was
it
thinking
did.
it did. Oh,
Yeah,
I think
it
it
did.
did. I
Oh
mean,
my
it's
goodness.
But how many
And-
messages do people need? I
know.
mean, we've had so many messages in Northwest
Yeah,
Indiana
right,
in the
right.
region for
Yeah.
decades, if not a century. How many
That's true.
messages are needed for these people?
you just go through U.S. attorneys. You go, Tom Kirsch has done a good job. Then you go to Dave Kapp.
Right.
Before that, Joe Van Bachlen. And it's expand U.S. attorneys, right?
Yeah.
Their tenures.
yeah, who was before Van Bachlen? Was
Now
that
you're giving me it. No, that's.
I have
yeah,
no
Was that
idea.
wow,
the-
I'm
was
trying
that
to-
I'm not
DiGiulio?
that old, Tom.
It
Sorry.
It
wasn't
might have
DiGiulio.
been. Was it DiGiulio?
Well,
Let's
I
see.
worked for the U.S. attorney when I
Oh,
was in
I
law
see.
school. I was an intern.
Who was it then?
It was DiGiulio. When
So
I
it
did.
must have been John, and then it went to Judge Van Bachlen.
Why
Yeah.
why local politicians mess with the feds? I just don't quite get it. And even if I was in your shoes, I would be so paranoid if I
No,
was
I am
a
so nice,
mayor.
and I am so like I would never ever piss off the FBI. I'll never piss off anybody.
I'm sure you have.
Well, I'm sure I have,
But you
like,
mean you never legally or cross any kind of boundary? Because I'd be
no.
paranoid of doing something
I'm scared
that'd be
to death.
scrutinized in a heartbeat.
Every time we turn in our campaign reports, it's scoured. Like it's gone over. Like, and it's very professional. The campaign reports are insurance policy because I collect money as a mayor. Our campaign collects money, and if you don't write it down on that campaign finance report, they're going to get you for tax issues, like they got Mayor Joe.
I
You have to
wouldn't, I
report
wouldn't
every
trust
penny.
my staff with my life on
Oh
it.
yeah,
I really
my
wouldn't.
staff loves me and
Yeah, you
watches
better
out
hope
for
so,
me.
right?
She's right
Yeah,
across the room
she's-
from me.
As he's
she loves her dad, so she wants to make sure her dad.
But I mean, that's not also saying that you're not apt to making honest mistakes. I mean, there's been things that have come up on the report where he's
You have
been
to-
taken to
So-
task at the election board by a lot of these people
Or you
who
have
just
to-
scrutinize everything,
Oh, my
and they're
goodness.
honest mistakes.
my
You know what I mean?
report. Oh, this is a good one. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Jerry.
you're good.
So one of my stalkers, right, thinks he has me. I'm on my family vacation in Florida, and I get a phone call from Bill Dolan. Funny enough, and he says, "Mayor, they pulled your election report, and one of your stalkers." I take my crew with me every year to a convention in French Lick. I pay for the RV, right? And I pay for everybody's rooms. These are like my top campaigners, and I give them like a 3-day trip to French Lick, and we have a good time. It's a political convention, but it's-
Indiana Democratic Editors
right,
Association.
and it's wonderful. It's a really good weekend, right? And it's become a tradition. We didn't do it this year for obvious reasons, but Marissa at this time, this is years ago, she's my treasurer, and she puts down Terry's RV in a location in
Illinois.
No, that's the one we get it from.
Franklin, Indiana. Franklin,
Unbeknownst
Indiana.
to us,
Yes.
there's 2 Terry's RV. One of them is in like central Indiana.
Franklin, and one's in Frankfurt.
So the guy that stalks me is like, I'm
Gotcha.
he's
Right.
convinced that I took my family on a trip with the RV,
Wisconsin.
and I'm paying for it with campaign funds, right?
Lindsay, how was that trip to Wisconsin?
In the RV, right? So he drives down to the Terry's RV in Indiana, and they said, "No, this guy never rented an RV from us." And he's like, "Excellent,
Yes.
we got him right."
Right.
But the campaign report actually said it was that one. And we mistakenly put the wrong Terry's RV on the campaign report.
I see.
That was a big deal.
but it's just stuff like that,
But
right?
these people who are so fanatic about it, I mean, why is this person, you call him a stalker? Is that the word you commonly use?
No,
why-
he is definitely a stalker.
Why are these stalkers?
It's Lefty.
Okay, then are they like mentally ill?
Yeah, he's
'Cause
mentally
that's
ill.
my question. Then.
Lefty is mentally ill. Lefty is a stalker. He thinks about me every day of his life. He has a picture of me in front of his business, like in a clown suit. But like this guy thinks about Tom McDermott, every day of his life.
It's interesting when
It's
you get in
weird.
somebody's head.
It's
Because I have
weird.
certain readers that have been the same way, that you get in their head and that's it.
Well, you
I don't
probably
wanna
have
be in
readers
his head.
right. I mean, you probably have readers, right, that every article you're getting an email from them,
Yeah,
or you're getting
yeah.
some
Do you?
comment
Oh, yeah,
online.
yeah.
Are they mean? Are they like?
Yeah, well, it's usually political these days. It's usually
Mm-hmm.
Trump versus not
Uh-huh.
Trump supporters, which we can mention. I was surprised that you came out so viciously against Trump in one of your previous podcasts. Most when you were really just pissed
Well,
off
you know what
about
though,
things.
Jerry? Like honestly, one of the fantasy lines during the campaign was, "I'm this like Trump supporter."
Right, I know, and that must have triggered this
It probably
this
did.
response
Yeah.
Like
in
over
a
the top
podcast 3 months
response.
later. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a guy who yesterday told people to go vote twice.
Yeah.
To commit a felony. Go vote twice. Send in your mail-in ballot and go try to vote at the polls.
Yeah,
Let's
right.
show how bad this system is.
But you can't attack Trump on rational means,
No.
logical sensibilities. You can't. That makes no sense. And it makes no sense to his supporters, because I think his supporters will find one attribute of his that
Yeah.
they will cling to.
Right.
And it does not matter about all the other
I
attributes.
love the way he's tough on China.
Exactly.
I do
That's
too.
all it takes. Or
Yeah.
it could be that. It could be any trait at all. Or just make America great again, patriotism.
Who
that
reads
kind
your
of thing.
column? Is it? I mean, that's the thing. I think your column. I think there'd be a lot of Trumpers that read your column, and I think there'd be a lot of Biden people that read. I don't really think you're going to appeal to one group or the other. Is that a fair?
No, well, I think just because mainstream media, I appealed that we have more readers for liberal mainstream liberal readers, leaning left leaning, so to speak. I like hearing more from right leaning people a lot, especially on my social media sites. I consistently encourage people, if you're a Trump supporter, if you're conservative by nature, whatever it might be, please get back with me on this column or this story or this post. I like hearing it. Not the name calling. I get tired of that. I got tired of that like 10 years ago when I joined like Facebook and social media.
Yeah.
But I love the back and forth because we need that counterbalance. I want to hear it. I want to see it in my social media pages. I want to hear it from my columns. I really enjoy it if they could do it articulately, not name calling. And
My
Well,
dad
makes no sense
My dad
then.
is convinced Trump's going to win. He's
Yeah,
convinced.
I think a lot of people are, and I think it's going to be a lot tighter than. I mean, don't
Forget
listen.
the
If
polls.
you're a
Yeah.
Biden supporter, don't think this is over. I mean,
Yeah, you kidding?
these races tighten.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is a great campaigner, and his people are very much
Of
going to
course.
make sure they show up and vote. For
Yeah.
him.
He lies. And I'm John's going to grab a microphone because our friend John is he's sympathetic to the president.
I see.
Right,
Right
John?
of center.
Yeah, but
he is right of center.
But there's no
way right of center.
There's no question he lies, but I don't think a lot of supporters really care.
Well,
It's
they
just
brush
not
it
that-
off at this point.
It's not that
It's
important.
like, oh, he lies. We know that. But
Yeah,
he's,
right.
He's still good for the country
He's
because
draining
of
the
X,
swamp.
Y, and Z. That's right. He's still draining the swamp. Let's not. I don't want to be unfair to the Republican Party. So let's talk about some other political corruption in
Speaking of,
Northwest
can
Indiana.
I plug Jerry real quick?
Yeah.
I have a funny story. Can I grab your book real quick, Jerry?
Yeah, you mentioned it earlier. That's why I brought it.
I love this book.
Then I want to.
I read it.
Then I want to get back to.
I
Snyder.
love this book because I'm quoted in it, right? I have like a couple references in here. This is Crooked Politics of Northwest Indiana by our very own Jerry Davich.
Right.
Great book. It's for sale right now on Apple or on
Yeah,
Amazon.
whatever.
Anyway.
That doesn't matter.
So people have asked me before, have you ever been in a book? I know you're in the newspaper. And I'm like, yeah, I've been in a book. They're
What's
like,
the
"Really?"
title?
What's the title? I'm like, Crooked Politics of Northwest Indiana. Why? And they're like,
You're welcome.
okay. But I'm like, no, but
Way to go.
I was
Yeah.
quoted for good.
Right,
I was wearing the white hat. I'm not the bad guy. Come on.
That's
So,
true. I never
yeah.
thought of that. So then thank you for being a part of that book. Because when I asked, I never really thought of that. You're going to be in this book called Crooked Politics.
I got great quotes in Crooked Politics in
Yeah.
Northwest
No, it
Indiana.
figures.
They're like, okay, that sounds great, Mayor.
Congrats, Tom.
So what I was saying and getting back
How
to,
hard was it to write your book, by the way? Was it a hard, long process?
No, it was hard just to funnel everything down. So it was, because there's so much.
Yeah.
And people said you could write like a War and Peace type novel about that. And it's true, going back a century in the region. You know how many cases there are? So just funneling through it. That was the hard part, so to speak. What should we highlight? What should we keep on?
You have all those columns written,
Because-
so you could just sort of condense
Well,
it.
in a way, yeah. Plus, the publisher, Arcadia Publishing, said everything's limited. So you only have a certain amount of pages, certain amount of photos, certain amount of everything. So, yeah, it could have been a lot wider, a thicker book, without a doubt.
Yeah.
there's a political story in Northwest Indiana that's kind of faded a little bit away, but is still out there, and that's Mayor Snyder in Portage.
Yeah.
All right, so he's a Republican, right? There's not just Democrats getting convicted, although many more, right? Around
Of course.
Northwest Indiana, there's also a lot of Democrats elected around here. But it's an interesting story out of Portage, and it's still going.
By the
It's
way,
still
interesting.
lingering.
He was indicted the same time Sheriff Bunchich was indicted.
Right.
And Bunchich is in prison right now doing time.
And lost 100 pounds
Yeah.
already.
Bad food, I guess. Good workout facilities, not sure. But while Bunchich is in prison doing his time, the guy that was indicted the same exact day is still fighting his case.
Yeah.
Does that mean that James is innocent? That Snyder is innocent?
I guess
Is that what we're
we'll have a
suggesting
jury
here?
decide that.
Well,
but
we have two different issues in that case, right? There was an issue with similar to John Bunchich's. It was a towing for a bribe for towing scheme, right?
Right.
those
Yeah.
allegations,
Yeah.
right?
The mayor money, and then the mayor gives you towing districts. There was an allegation against Mayor Snyder that was in that regards, and I think James is going to beat that one. The one I think he's in trouble on, and we were talking about this before, is there was a income tax evasion. And
Yeah,
that
it had to do with the
seems
mortgage
tougher.
company that
Right.
he owned, and it seemed very
Like he was creating LLCs to move 100,000 from one LLC to the next
to avoid tax
to avoid
consequences.
taxes, so that the feds can never catch up to that $100,000.
They caught up.
Yeah, they did.
They
Right.
caught up.
I think James Snyder, from my interactions with him in the past, is that he's convinced he's innocent of any kind of charges at all, which I think a lot of politicians kind of feel that way. I don't think Mayor Joe feels that. Does he feel he's innocent?
He already pled. Well,
Yeah,
there's
but
a
does
plea
he? No,
agreement.
in his head.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't mean legally. I don't mean publicly. I
he
mean, in his
didn't want to
head.
go through the whole.
Of course not.
Yeah,
but,
the trial
But does he
and-
think he's innocent?
You mean
Does
just
Keith
like
Soderquist-
intrinsically, do they feel they're innocent?
That's
Good
my
question.
point.
Good question. That's a question.
Because I
we
think
never-
James
you ever-
Snyder does not think he's guilty
Really?
of any wrongdoing.
I know James pretty well. Like, you know,
Do you agree that he thinks that he believes?
well,
It's
I
like-
think I agree with him on, because
On
the
one
thing
thing.
is, when he got indicted for taking a similar amount of money as Bunchich and then giving a towing district, he called it a loan though. And the thing that the feds messed up on in that case was they indicted James before he had to do his campaign finance reports. So let's say he was taking that $10,000 and he was going to pocket that $10,000, right? He got indicted before the end of the year. So at the end of the year, I was saying this at the time, is like, why doesn't he just claim that $10,000 on
Right
his campaign
now.
finance report and he's covered?
Yeah.
And he did. He said, no, that was a loan. They gave it to me. It's on my campaign finance report. And I don't know how he can get in trouble.
It's
going
going to
to
be interesting to see how that charge plays out.
I don't
but
think they can get him
those,
on that. Do you?
It's been lingering forever. It feels like.
I haven't.
that
I mean,
case.
I've only read the indictment. I haven't seen the arguments about that charge. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. To me, the tax issue one with the mortgage company
Yes.
seems like a pretty strong.
I agree with you on
case,
that.
but I don't want to. You know, we're not here to.
No,
judge
we're just
or-
giving our opinion.
Absolutely.
I'm more concerned about the psychology behind it all, like how it works. Is it just ignorance, like oops, like you said
No.
before, I messed up on paper, or is it
If you're
is it
taking-
arrogance? I mean,
Let me
what
tell you something,
drives
Jerry.
these people?
My father was mayor, and you know he gave me some great advice. He gave me some crappy advice. Okay, one of the pieces of great advice he gave me, and I hung my hat on when I first walked into City Hall. He said, "Never touch money. Let your people do it for you. Like if you're raising money, don't take a check from somebody. Don't take money. Have your people do that for you. Raise the money for your campaign, and you just stay ignorant and away from all that, right?"
I see.
And I've
That's good advice.
followed that rule from the beginning. So like the thing about this John Bunchich, when the feds had the picture of him grabbing the $10,000 out of the tow truck, right? He was cooked. Like he was cooked right there. Even if he claims it, it comes. By the way,
Think about how that looks to a
Yes.
voter,
Yeah.
to a
Right.
constituent,
$10,000.
to a juror, to
Right.
a regular
Right.
person that doesn't have $10,000.
the moment he
ever.
touched that money, he was done. It didn't
And the
matter
top
what.
cop
his-
in the county too.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Making
but
the
like,
most money.
so let's say James Snyder. They had a picture of James Snyder taking a $10,000, and he claimed it on his campaign report. It's still
The visual.
The
The
visual is
optics.
so bad.
I see.
That's right.
I was thinking some of the crappy advice your dad might have given you was that this bust was him and not Abraham Lincoln. But that's just,
It does look a lot like Abe today. But like that's why we cover it up. This is my dad,
That
Jerry.
was- I
It's a
remember.
bust of my
I
dad.
saw
Yeah,
it.
yeah, with my hat
And you
on.
proudly display it here. I see that.
By the way,
It's
the
awesome.
whole family thinks is. I think my dad thinks is him. So don't.
we're not going to ruin it for him. But like I
Yeah.
said before, he doesn't know how to listen
Like,
to a
hey,
podcast,
Tom, thanks
so
for-
everything's fine.
Yeah, right. I downloaded the podcast on his phone.
Look at that.
It just automatically downloads.
Your
it.
Now
dad,
he's got to
watch
figure out how to
this.
click it, though.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Well, he can't see it, so that's what I was saying. It's all he's got, man. He thinks this is him. Let's just run with it.
We're going to
okay?
run with it. We don't
Yeah.
want to ruin it for him.
So Snyder, yeah, he's got trouble also. But like,
And
it-
it's still pending.
you know what's crazy about his case? His lawyer, Jackie Bennett. We're talking a lot about lawyers today. Is one of the highest priced lawyers I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, and a
Right?
very, very well-known
We had to
criminal
use him.
defense. We are using him
On
Yeah.
a police case,
Mhm.
and he's extremely expensive. I couldn't believe it. He's helping us a lot on this case, but like, I'm like, wow, how is Snyder paying for this?
Well, Snyder's not in any kind of jail or prison right now, so I guess
That's true.
all the money is well spent so far.
I'm telling you,
Whatever-
if I had to
whatever it
ballpark,
is.
Kevin, what do you think Snyder's legal costs are? I mean, 2 years of litigation with these lawyers.
hundreds of. I was going to say somewhere near 200,000.
150 grand.
Well, don't forget. Don't forget. Before that, before Tom Kirsch was U.S. Attorney, he was in a huge, a really good firm in Chicago, very well respected firm in Chicago, and he started out as Mayor Snyder's attorney.
Right.
Which is why I'm sure there's a what we call in lawyer land Chinese wall between the U.S. Attorney and whoever's doing that case, right? Because he can't obviously be involved.
No, of course not. I didn't know it's called. I like the lawyer land.
I don't participate in lawyer land
because you guys talk
unless it's cool.
Only when he wants to.
Yeah. If you talk, if
I'm trying to impress somebody,
you'll lose people if you start legalese too much.
Oh yeah,
I've learned that.
Don't do that. So.
Look, Chinese wall.
You learned that in ethics.
He was supposed to go to China with me.
Don't bring that up.
Yeah.
But a lot of Democrats will, of course, bring up the Snyder case, and we could drop it after this. But this is like Republicans too, that kind of thing. And I totally get it. It's a human nature thing. More Democrat in Northwest Indiana because we're filled with Democrats. I totally understand that. But just generally, greed is greed, corruption is corruption, mistakes, arrogance, whatever you want to call it.
What's funny is going back to Bunchich and Snyder. The day that happened, I was more stunned about that day than any day I'd been involved. And I was not a friend of John Bunchich. We were enemies. And I would have never guessed in a million years he was stealing like that. Never.
Really?
I just knew he was an asshole, I'll be honest with you. He was a dick to me. And I didn't like him and he didn't like me. But I would have never taken the next leap saying, this guy's stealing money, this guy's pocketing money, this guy's getting bribed. I would have never gone there. I'd never even thought like that.
It's interesting that you frame him as an enemy because I don't recall ever telling anybody, he's my enemy.
Oh,
but you have enemies, Tom.
He took Kevin Smith off the election board.
Well, that's okay. That was his.
By the way,
his prerogative.
Tell me, that was what started the whole war, right? It's the answer. Everything went to shit right after that.
I wasn't happy about that, but it's his prerogative. The chairman can do that.
It's right.
Kevin, do you have enemies? Like enemies, quote unquote?
I wouldn't say. I hope not. I don't know. I'm sure I do, but I don't really know them. Maybe, and they're out there.
I'm sure
I do.
I know people who don't like me or they're
but
haters.
I can say this about the mayor. The mayor uses that term.
Oh, he does,
and he always has. And
enemies.
I think
I do have.
I think looking in the mayor's mind as I can. I think after
I'm just wondering what enemies means.
Years,
what does enemies mean to you?
I think it's good for the mayor to know where the line's drawn, and he does that, and he just refers to that as enemies.
It sounds like you have arch villains or something. And you're in a
I have people. I think
novel.
like a guy like Lefty.
Sure,
he's dangerous. He stalks my house. He drives by my house and looks at my kids and stuff like that.
That's dropped off.
That's weird. He did. He drove by my house when we were having a party. Remember this during the congressional campaign? Tommy's having a party. It was his birthday. Tommy and Jerry know each other.
Yep.
So Tommy, we're in the front yard, and Tommy invites his friends for a drive-by party when we were doing that shit, right?
Right.
So people were driving by, and then Tommy's friends start stopping, and then they're getting out to say hi to Tommy. And this is I'm telling you, Jerry, they're in my yard for 2-3 minutes max, and as soon as they do, Lefty drives by and takes a picture of everybody
and some other congressional candidates.
Also
drove by from the Republican side and took pictures.
And I'm this freaking creep is sitting there watching our house, and then and then as soon as that happened, it was a major buzzkill. The party, everybody saw me, and Marissa's who was it? I'm it was Lefty, and Marissa's a judge, and she's I guess technically we're violating social distancing. We were doing everything we can.
Well, the kids were,
the kids. What am I supposed to do? Get the hell out of here! Keep moving, kids.
I'm trying to win a congressional race.
It's the illusion of social distancing. That's another gripe I have with society is that the illusion of social distancing that we have. It's just pretend.
Well, right now.
A lot of us are playing.
My germs are all over you right now.
See, I am my mask.
I got tested just recently, though. That
was a while ago. Who knows what you are now?
I am
it's
dirty by now.
I got tested too, and it was negative, but it does not
If
matter.
I'm positive, it's definitely your fault. I'm just saying.
Deal. Fair enough. It's
How many times you been tested?
Just once.
Yeah?
It was for a column.
Were you nervous? Did you go way up the nose, or did you get the outside?
No, up the nose, right. Yeah.
Was way up, like the brain?
Yeah, way up, yeah.
Really? I just got...
in the brain?
I got fondled on the outside.
No fondling. No, it was way up. Yeah.
They were just tickling me on the end.
You said nervous like the test result, or nervous about the test?
I was nervous. So I was not nervous. So first off, I got called by the health department, which is no fun.
Indiana State Health Department called them.
And they're
contact tracing.
They're immediately quarantine yourself or go get tested. And I'm I'll go get tested, right?
Yeah.
So I go in there, and I started figuring out who I was exposed to, and I was I had a mask on. I remember, and because I'm pretty good about wearing my mask. And then they swabbed me, and then there's 10 minutes you got to wait.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, if this
why
is
are they
positive,
taking so long?
Right?
That feeling, right?
I'm at 9 minutes. Yeah.
Right. And then I'm thinking, my God, I got to tell my mother-in-law. She flew out here because we're lower levels, and I'm gonna have to tell her I'm positive, and she's been around me all weekend, and all this went through my head, but came back. You're clean.
And you could be positive right now, though.
You could be.
That's the catch.
You could
I
be.
mean, at this moment, it does not matter what happened even yesterday.
That's
Really?
what
I mean,
testing's
unless
all
you
about.
live. I wrote a column.
I went dancing last night in the
Blaming
club.
people.
I was
That
I was
was you?
shirtless most of the night.
Weren't
yeah.
you were at a college
crazy.
dorm party?
I thought I
or something.
recognized
I got
you.
my right
Frat
nipple
party.
pierced last night too. It was a weird night, but I'm sure I'm clean.
No.
Yeah.
Unless you've
Be
been
careful,
self-
You
Marissa.
don't pierce
quarantined.
the left nipple. It gives people the wrong.
Only
go
you would
right
know
nipple.
these things.
Right nipple is the one.
I'm not sure about these things.
But I was crazy dancing last night. And,
I bet.
yeah.
Right nipple on left of center. That's
Bumping.
his new, that's his new
why.
slogan. Yeah, right.
Yeah, we need a sponsor. We need a tattoo parlor now.
Yes,
Yeah,
piercing.
a piercing. A
Right
piercing
nipple,
parlor.
not left.
Good mayors.
Or is it left, not right?
You go right
No, it's-
nipple.
You go right, not
yeah,
left.
it
Yeah,
offsets the left of center. Yeah.
There you go.
We're all even now.
There's your new sponsor.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
What are they building on 169th across from the Speedway?
that would be a brand new Nick's Liquors.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. Right
Yep.
on Calumet.
And they're closing
yeah.
down the ramshackle one.
They're one. Yeah,
on the way.
caddy corner. Good call. Thanks.
Well,
This is fun, Jerry. Did you have a good time?
Yeah.
We had
without
a
doubt.
we had a crap ton of viewers, man.
thanks for
We
coming
bring
in.
We bring the eye candy into the
And you thought
studio.
I'd ask you too many questions. I'm
No,
assuming.
you have to ask me questions.
No, you thought I was going to ask you
What
too
are you
many
going to ask me?
questions. No.
Seriously?
You got them all.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I had questions written down.
You
for
were
sure.
gonna
I'm wondering
ask me.
also about how you being addressed by Tom versus Mayor McDermott. Or
Doesn't
Mr.
faze me.
Really? You
Honestly.
don't care either way?
Mm-mm.
Because some people get upset if I
No.
call them by their first name without their title.
No.
No, it doesn't matter.
I'm so
Don't
chill.
call him Tombo though. It's somebody.
Don't call me.
Tombo.
That was my name when I was a kid. Tombo.
Tombo.
So like, there's a.
there's a
I'm not
story
gonna say who it
behind
is. So like, let's just say somebody's dating my stepmom. Okay, and I've Lynette's been my stepmother since I was 4 years old. So like, in all respects, she's my mother. But she's dating this person. I'm not gonna get into specifics because I don't want to embarrass him, right? And he like literally after the second date with her starts calling me Tombo.
Tombo.
And he'd be, how's it going, Tombo? And I'm like,
Don't like that.
like I'd hate
like
to
that.
punch you like right after you start dating Lynette, but like, and I like, I'll still see this guy, and he'll be like, "Hey, Tombo, how's it going?" And I'm like, "Is this guy trying to piss me off?"
That's
Like,
grandfathered in.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I know. Like if my family says Tombo,
That's
like
one
Kevin's
thing.
known me forever, right? Lindsay, how often do you hear people call me Tombo?
It's been a while.
But like it's family always,
Family.
right?
Yeah.
It's like family from California. They call me Tombo,
Grandma.
right?
it's-
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Not really anybody here.
But like Jerry, I am so chill about Mayor Tom. I think when I'm sitting in City Hall, like if we're doing business, I'm
Well,
in City Hall.
That's different.
But like
Yeah.
that's when I sort of get weird. I have a certain person that works for me that prides himself on saying, "Listen here, Tom," like blah blah blah, and
Well,
it's
it's
like
kind of like when you're in court, right?
Right.
Like I would
Right.
never say Marissa instead
Yeah,
of like
right.
Your
Right.
Honor or
right,
Judge
for
or
sure,
whatever, right?
If
It's
you're
just-
in court, can you imagine?
So it's
Marissa, listen here, right?
So it's
Right.
context. It's
I
all
like my law
Yes,
license,
right?
Yeah, so it's just context, and I think that's appropriate, right? When you're in City Hall and you're doing business, and the mayor's there, it's mayor.
But if I'm out in public, people call me Tom. People call me all kinds of stuff.
Another question. A couple of readers
I
contacted me
love-
after the column ran. They asked
love.
about you blocking people on social media.
I do.
You just commonly do?
Not commonly.
What's
you have
the criteria?
to be. You have
for
to be
it?
a special kind of asshole to get blocked by me.
I see.
You have to reach this high of an
Really?
asshole. to-
No, like you have to be like if I block you, it's because you've said personal things about me. Like you're
Or
over
your
the top.
family.
You're over the top.
I
You're
see.
Like, and I do, and
they
and
take
people
it-
say they send me like articles that says this is illegal what you do. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not illegal. Like I have a First Amendment right. I don't have to read your First Amendment right. Right? If you hate me and you want to tell me what an asshole I am, I don't have to read your stuff. You have the right to say it all you want,
Right.
but you don't have to put it on my wall where my mom reads how much of an asshole you think I am. Right?
I see.
So I do, and like if I have to go to court and litigate this issue, I'm ready. I've always been ready, but I do. I block, not excessively. That's not my job, is to block people. My job is to bring people in.
That's why I asked.
And it's
But-
his personal
criteria
account.
was-
You know, it's not the
Yeah, it's
official
my
account.
personal account. Thank
It's not
you.
the city
Absolutely.
account. Like Go Hammond doesn't block.
No,
anybody.
Go Hammond doesn't block people, and they say all kinds of things. That's why I don't read
Go
Go
there.
Hammond.
If you really want to talk about the mayor, go to Go Hammond.
That's right. But
Say
no,
what
I
you
do.
want.
I'm glad you asked that. Like I do, and like I'm ready. One day, Kevin and might have to go to court on my behalf, and we'll argue that I think I have these rights. By the way, President Trump, and I'm not trying to compare myself at all, but he does the same thing. Is like I don't have to read your diatribe against me. I don't want to read it. It brings
see.
like social media is so mean. I just
very.
It's a sewer at times.
I would just rather
A
not.
lot of
No.
times.
I put stuff out now, and I just I'm ignorant. I assume everybody loves me, and I know that's not the case. But
Just curious.
Just put it
you
out
Ever,
and
you ever,
Everybody loves him.
you ever
Yeah.
block anybody? Do you ever have to?
I might have. There might have been a couple of trolls, but it's rare for me. And I don't have nearly.
I know,
I'm not
just
nearly as
curious.
cool or as famous as the mayor. So I have one 1/15 of the followers the mayor has.
Yeah. He's mostly women are
It
following.
was just
him.
yes, because I think some people in
And
general,
I block them all.
some people just block
That's right,
like
Jana.
this, and I just didn't know if you were one of those people that just I don't like it. Block.
No, like it builds up with me. If I know a person's name and if I know that they're not fair with me, I don't want to read it. Like there was this lady that was trolling me from Cherville. She was the meanest. She was a Mervyn
Real
supporter.
mean.
She was a total jerk. Okay, and then I blocked her. She shows up to one of my events and tries to embarrass me when I was running for Congress, saying you blocked me and all this. And I said, "Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm going to reverse it as soon as we're over, right?" So I reversed it.
She got just
And then
as
she's
mean.
being a total jackass again. It's like,
Nice.
and then I blocked her, and she's
I
forever blocked. Like I don't want to read it. Like I get it. You
It's
don't
a
like
good
me.
feeling sometimes to block someone, and then you don't see them or hear them.
It's
you
just
think,
better
like, ever again.
Like a guy like
they're like gone.
Like the MX and Mad Max of the world. They have nothing good to say ever. Like I don't want to read their stuff. They'll just bring me down into their little sewer pit. So like I'd rather just
I see.
be
Let
ignorant.
them have their little space
That's right.
on the internet.
Right.
Let them have their space.
I don't need to read it.
and
I don't need to like worry about what they're saying or who's liking it or who's
There's a lot of
sharing
room
it.
on the
Like-
internet.
Like,
yeah,
I tell
that's
you,
true.
man.
That's a good line, Kevin.
And with this data center we're building in Hammond, we'll have even more room for bull crap. So
Yeah, it'll
right.
make the internet bigger.
Yeah.
Can the internet expand? It's like the galaxy. It just,
we got to
It's
do
like the
this.
universe.
how big is
how
the
expanding,
how big
yeah.
is the internet? Well,
You know,
it just keeps going.
It
It's
does.
crazy. I've been working a lot with the data center guys lately, and they're like, the data center is like a hotel for data. It's that people are just going to rent rooms and just store their stuff there. And,
What room are you in?
So
I'm in
they-
data center room
Right.
138.
But if you want to download Left of Center and you pull it up, if it comes quickly, it's because it's sitting here locally. If it takes a long time to download, it's because it's at a data center out of Texas or Nebraska or something like that.
There
like
you go.
the closer we have these, the more we're going to be able to fetch videos.
It's really cool.
Like,
Yeah, that's one good thing about data center. We've learned a lot about this stuff. It's
Yeah.
it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Because
Pretty
most
cool
people
stuff.
don't understand it, including me.
I
don't
didn't
get
even know
it
what the
at
hell
all.
a data center was a year
Yeah,
ago.
right.
No. But like this data center is going to be worth a couple $100 million in Hammond. It's
Right on the
It's
lakefront.
amazing. Yeah, we're pretty lucky.
And there's just enough room in the data center for Left of Center podcast.
Just enough. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
there's
we,
more
we
than
made
enough
sure
room in the
we got a
data
whole
center.
room set up for us.
Maybe
Jerry.
like a little corner, like a
Like this
mouse
bat
corner.
cave. Like
Not
this-
even this much room.
Yeah.
By the way, this is nice, isn't it?
It's sharp.
I forgot show and tell today. And do we have mailbag or we
No
don't even
mailbag
have-
today.
We're gonna do. Kevin and I are gonna do a show on Tuesday. Like we're going solo.
We're gonna
gonna try
change it
old
up a little
school.
bit. We're gonna do something different and
Yeah.
go back to just me and him. And
But I want.
That's a good old
I want
days.
Jerry to come back again. I know
Without
it's
a
early
doubt.
in the morning. Would you come back again?
Yeah, I got up.
Yeah, I love it.
you made it.
So hey, what are your normal hours? Like seriously, like are you? You're.
I'm not a morning person at all.
I'm not
I was
either.
up till 3:30 writing a column this today.
That's awesome. See, that's a cool.
So
kind
So
of
you're
job.
like a all night guy. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna start writing. It's midnight. Let's
Yeah,
start
yeah,
getting
that's
into
what I
this.
do. Yeah,
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah. That's,
So like, what
that's
time
my
do you
schedule.
normally wake up?
Oh, 9.
Really?
Yeah.
My body wakes up at 6:15, but I
Yeah.
go to bed early.
I do
so
not
guy.
do that.
I go to bed like last night. I was asleep by 10 o'clock.
Oh, that's when I started writing. That's when
Really?
I started writing my last
Dude,
column.
I- would
10's
be
too
on
early
it.
for me too.
Really?
Yeah, I'm
I-
late to bed, early up.
I'm like early to bed, early up, but I don't even really need an alarm clock to wake me up anymore. I get up
Yep.
at 6 o'clock.
I
Either
keep
way-
beating my alarm clock. Like I
Yeah.
tried it like for this. Like I want to make sure I'm here early, but I get up. You know what I mean? You beat your alarm clock. Kind of when you're waiting for a flight. You always make
got
it for
hammer
some,
marks
Yeah,
on
right,
it.
right.
So Tom managed to get his nipple pierced and dance all before
all,
10.
all before 10
I don't
a.m.
know how he
all
did
before
that,
10
John.
p.m.
Man,
right.
that nipple piercing
Think about
hurt
that,
like a-
John. What an exciting 8 p.m. to 10 p.m.
I'm gonna pierce my nipple for you guys.
Please don't.
I'm gonna come in.
Don't do that.
That would be a great.
No
Tom,
photos needed.
Tom
No,
gets
no.
his nipple pierced.
That's a great title. John, there is the title for this
Title of the
episode.
show.
We always want to do our titles like it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah,
Tom gets his
just
nipple.
nipple pierce is all you need at all.
Nipple
So,
pierce.
right or left.
Like
Right.
when we had Richard on, it was getting some with Richard, and I was like, no, just leave it getting some.
That's I remember that. Right.
Well, Jerry, thanks for coming on.
Sure thing,
Appreciate
Kevin.
it.
I appreciate
Have
it.
a great weekend. It's Labor
You're
Day
the best.
weekend, everybody.
Yeah.
Enjoy the long weekend. We'll be back on Tuesday bright and early.
Yeah, love it. Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Tom.
it. Good to
Awesome.
see you. Thanks to Lindsay and thanks to John for helping us. Thanks to everybody that listened. We had a big crowd again today and left of center. I love it. Thank you very much, Jerry Davich.
Have a great holiday weekend.
Thanks.